Life sometimes hits you unexpectedly and brutally. I never thought that after 10 years of marriage, I would find myself in a situation where I would have to question everything we built together with my wife. A month and a half ago, everything turned upside down. I found out she was cheating on me. Even now, as I write these words, part of me still refuses to believe it actually happened. We've been together for over 10 years. Those were years of love, understanding, and trust. I never doubted her fidelity. I never snooped through her phone or personal belongings. It simply never occurred to me. I thought we had an ideal relationship, built on trust. Now that trust seems naive, almost childish. It all started quite simply, if you think about it. My wife told me she was going to spend the weekend at a hotel with a friend. This friend wasn't new in our lives. They had been friends for years, and I didn't see anything suspicious about it. We often did things like this, gave each other space, respected each other's interests and needs. After all, relationships should be built on trust, right? But something felt off. Usually these trips with her girlfriends seemed natural, but this time something had changed. Maybe it was instinct, or maybe just the growing distance between us. The thing is, we had been sleeping in separate beds for 2 years. It started when we got a new dog, a huge one. The dog grew to 150 pounds and crawled into bed with us every night. I would wake up with neck and back pain because I couldn't move freely with that giant in the bed. So we decided I would sleep in another room to avoid discomfort. At the time, it seemed like a temporary solution, but now I understand that this situation became one of the bricks in the wall that quietly grew between us. I didn't think that sleeping apart would be such a big deal. It seemed trivial. But with every passing day, we seemed to grow just a little further apart, not physically, but emotionally. And although I didn't feel any obvious tension or dissatisfaction in our relationship, a certain distance was quietly forming. Then after she came back from that girls' weekend, I did something I had never done before. I never went through her things, but this time something pushed me to do it. In her bag, I found a sex toy, a love-ins, something I didn't know we owned. We had never discussed buying anything like this. Our intimate life had always been good, although not as frequent in recent years, which seemed normal for a long marriage. But finding this device made me think. At first, I tried to convince myself that it was just a gift from a friend or a new purchase she hadn't mentioned yet. I tried to assign it a meaning that wouldn't shatter my peace, but something kept nagging at me. A fear that I was missing something crept in closer and closer. And then, one day, when my wife was late at work, I did something I had never done before. I checked her email. And as much as I wish I could go back and undo that, not find what I found, the truth was staring me in the face. In her email, I found Venmo receipts that immediately caught my attention. She had been receiving money from a man I didn't know. These payments lined up with the time she said she was spending with friends, including that recent weekend at the hotel. He was sending money for the hotel, for dinners, for various small expenses. My world collapsed. I felt the ground disappear beneath my feet. I sat in front of the computer, realizing that I had just found proof that she had been cheating on me for 2 years. She had been lying to my face when she said she was going with her friends. She had been deceiving me for 2 years, hiding her relationship with this man, someone I probably never would have known about if I hadn't impulsively checked her email. After that, I started to recall all the little things I had missed or ignored. Sudden trips that had seemed so natural started to look different in retrospect. I remembered how she had gone away on weekend trips with friends several times over the past 2 years. Those trips, as it turned out, were not with her friends, but with this man. What hurts the most in this situation? Not only do I feel betrayed, but I also realize that I've lived in a lie for 2 years, not noticing the clear signs of her infidelity. I trusted her, and maybe that was my biggest mistake. I trusted her so blindly that I didn't even consider the possibility that something was wrong in our life. When I tried to talk to her about it, she initially denied everything. She said I was mistaken, that he was just a friend, and that the money was part of some joint project. She insisted that I had misunderstood the situation. But then when I showed her all the evidence, the emails, the receipts, I even found a few photos from their trips, she stopped lying. At first, her eyes were filled with fear. But then, As if accepting her fate, she said, "Yes, I've been cheating on you." Those words felt like a sentence, one you can't escape from. The affair had lasted for 2 years. 2 years I had lived in ignorance. She confessed that she didn't love him, that it was just physical, but I didn't care anymore. The point was that she had betrayed our trust. I tried to make sense of it all. I was overwhelmed with anger, pain, and disappointment. It felt like everything we had built together crumbled in an instant. All our plans, dreams, and memories together, it all suddenly seemed meaningless. That's when I realized that this situation was much more complicated than just infidelity. The life we had been living for the past 2 years was a reflection of something larger, something we both hadn't noticed. We had drifted apart long before this, even if it wasn't obvious at first. We lived together, but we were distant from each other. And this distance allowed her to let someone else into her life. I don't excuse her actions. It was her choice, her responsibility. But I also can't ignore the fact that at some point, I stopped being the man she wanted to share her life with. Our relationship had changed gradually. We used to spend time together, discuss our plans, share our thoughts and feelings. But over the last 2 years, that disappeared. Work, friends, the dog, separate bedrooms, all of these became barriers between us. We started talking less, laughing less, caring less about each other. Maybe I'm to blame for not noticing this. Maybe if I had paid more attention to her feelings, to her needs, we could have maintained our trust and closeness. Now I'm faced with a choice. What do I do next? Do I forgive her and try to rebuild what's been destroyed? Or do I admit that our marriage has run its course and walk away, preserving whatever dignity I have left? It's hard to say. I thought our love was forever. But now looking back, I realize that love isn't just a feeling you can hold on to once and for all. It's work, daily effort, mutual respect, and attention. We lost that. She chose someone else, and no matter how much she tries to justify herself, it doesn't matter anymore. It's been a month and a half since I found out. I'm still living in this house, although every corner reminds me of what happened. We haven't talked about divorce yet, but we both know something has to change. I still love her, despite everything that's happened. It's hard to control that feeling, but I'm not sure I can forget and forgive.